Hey, I'm Amy Cerny Vasterling, and I've written a forthcoming book that I'm just sharing videos on highlighting tidbits or bits of my work so that you can break it down and understand what it's about because it is really, I think, powerful right now for where we are in our world and what we want to see happen differently. So my question here is, how do you release or how do we release ourselves from the model? And leaving the model, bye-bye model, is a multifaceted thing. And it's multifaceted because in a way we are healing what, if we think about a ring, this one doesn't, but that has facets on it, we're hitting little facets and some of them are bigger and we're cycling and circling through. And when we've started to where we stop at the same point with our information and our growth, we have grown through that. But then we might hit another facet of the same thing or a little bit different variety that is teaching us, and it cycles and circles, and we come back where we hit a plateau of feeling as though we've clinched it or we understand something we didn't before. Sometimes we don't even know what that is, but we know we know. And that's what's important. So let's move a bit beyond this into more the core of what I'm offering is this component. We leave the model by stopping our posturing within the model, and that has everything to do with control. But I'm not going to talk in depth today about that facet of it. Instead, I'm going to talk about the other side of it, which is our shadow. So to me, there are two components. Oop, where are the finger puppets? The control, and then what is our trauma, but in my work, it would signal everything that has to do with the shadow. And also in my work, I have identified that as being our inner child, the parts that have gone abandoned or broken by well-meaning parents. Sometimes it's not always through overt abusive situations, although there are people probably listening to this who have had that experience. And for that, I'm sorry. And I always want to say it's not your fault, but this is now your problem and my problem and their problem to solve. And that's where my work comes in, is when we're looking at that inner child, we might want to start off by getting some help. And I would recommend somatic work, which is more the holistic approach or a spiritual approach, perhaps some might say. Or you might try internal family systems, which is the psychological approach. So if you're working with a psychologist or you've thought about it, or maybe you've worked with one and you think, boy, I need something else, this could be it. And when we heal that shadow and the tenants of the shadow, and we could say tenants, meaning actual inner children parts, that we are then in effect healing the aspects of our personality that we need to become unstuck and feel whole. And to me, when we do this, we dump our shadow and we come into what we are of purpose. And that's the importance of healing that. Now, I'm not somebody who does things the way other people do them. And that has been, I've been chronically vilified for that in my life. I just don't operate or think like others. Not that I think or operate so far away from them either, but I did about a year and a half of somatic work. And then I had a massive break from that. And the woman said, you can do this on your own. And indeed, I did to some degree. But I found two things that I want to share with you. One is I was in a relationship that wasn't healthy for me and kept me stuck. Not that that was necessarily the doing of that person, but I didn't also go and it wasn't a working relationship any longer. So when I did the somatic work, I found, wow, I'd feel a lot better after doing it. And then I'd feel far worse. And the reason that was occurring is I was healing it and then scaring that child more by bringing it back into the environment that was already not working for that inner child. That was bad and hard to see until I was free of that relationship and could expand and really do the inner child work, inner children work. But then I saw a therapist for a short time, preceding or right at the beginning of a massive life change, just in case I needed a relationship with one. And we had 3 sessions, and that session 2, we started doing internal family systems work. And the third time I came back, I said, well, here's my laptop. I made a spreadsheet of all the inner children. And I went through 1, 2, 3, or 0, 1, 2, 3, all the ages, and here they are. And the therapist said, well, we don't do that. And I said to her, well, I do that. Right. It helped me clarify. And for somebody who's organized person and that's how I best function, that worked really nicely for me. And I was surprised to find when I would feel a certain thing, like say sad in a certain way, maybe frustration and sad together, I would inherently months later, without even have been working with those inner children regularly, know, oh, that's this age. And I'd go back to my spreadsheet and indeed it was. And that helped me also to trust what I was getting when I was getting it. I don't trust very easily, which is a good thing for all of us because it made me challenge the heck out of my work and find things I don't think I would have otherwise have found. My curiosity and tenacity to challenge things, or maybe I should say audacity to challenge things, is what informed my work. So I hope that this sheds a little light on that inner child work, just making a choice about it and seeing where it's effective. If you feel that you are, oh, I feel sad and now I feel angry, and that is probably the source, would probably be your inner children. And I'll maybe in another video, I'll tell a story about some experiences with my inner children um, that really surprised me. Some of them were kind of wild, not in a positive necessarily way, but they were in hindsight. In the end, they were incredibly powerful. But in the moment, I had no idea what was going on, and it was not for the faint of heart. Okay, hope this has helped you. Together, let's collapse narcissism, because in truth, that shit serves nobody. Like, share, follow, do all the things, because I am certain if this is calling out to you and informing you in powerful ways, I'm certain it will for a friend or a family member as well. Thanks.